Whoa, what's up, everybody? When did you guys get here? Welcome to Theocracy. I'm your host, Theo Snodgrass. How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Let's see who's hanging out in the chat with us already. Strider is first. Catching vagabond slipping. Strider's first. Slee's second. What's up, girl? How you doing? Iron Oxide is here. What's up, Iron Oxide? Shout out to the Rogues Gallery. Iron Oxide, the Rogues Gallery. Rogues Gallery is on Fridays. Make sure to check that out. Iron Oxide Ironcast coming soon. Shout out to the Stream Elements tip jar. Very important. That's where we money that keeps this operation going. Leighton Dermy. That's great. Shout out Dermy Wormy. What's up, everybody? How are we doing today? Kind of an overcast day out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So it's probably not going to be as hot. So I'm looking forward to that. Before we get started, because you guys have seen the clips from the Patrick Bet David Jubilee debate that have been floating around. You guys have seen that. If you haven't seen that, don't worry. We're going to dive into it. The reason I wanted to talk about that is because people are always asking me how I'm able to talk to leftists. And this guy just put out a clinic for how to do it. He did a great job. He did a great job. Also, he didn't participate in this humiliation ritual that is like internet debate bro culture. He talked to people how you would actually do it if you wanted to change their mind. And he knew that the audience isn't really the person in front of him, the audience is the viewing audience, right? So it was really smart. He was just really smart in how he conducted himself. And I wanted to dive into that. But first, I wanted to show you how I got manipulated on the internet literally first thing this morning. So, as you guys know, there was the there was that the shooting in Minneapolis, and it affected me because like I went to Catholic school and I have friends who have kids in Catholic school, and so when I saw the little kids kind of running out of the school in their uniforms, it's like, oh shit, I know. Yeah, it's a familiar thing to me. Like if you grow up in a community with a lot of Catholic schools, then it's pretty common, right? So uh while I was on Twitter, I saw this shirt that was supposed to be like a fundraising shirt. I'm going to show it to you. Pretty based, right? Protect Catholic kids. Pretty based. Sort of like an inversion of the protect trans kids thing. Here's the thing. So I had a reaction to it because I saw it on X, right? And so then before I was going to go send it to my mom because the tweet says that uh, they're raising money for the shooting victim for some like nonprofit that's like the Annunciation peace and whatever healing fund, whatever. And without doing any research on whether or not that was a legitimate charity or whether I was being scammed, I already like had the link copied and was like ready to send it to my mom. But I stopped myself. I was like, wait a minute, I don't know anything about this. I just had an emotional reaction to this and was ready to share it based on that, based on like no information. So then I stopped. I have no idea if that's like a legit charity or not. Kind of a cool shirt, but like not irrelevant. I don't know. So point is, uh, I get manipulated by stuff I see on the internet too. I think that's what's annoying about being a person today is you are just constantly surrounded by people who are trying to emotionally manipulate you to do what they want. And that's super irritating just to like exist in a world where that's happening all the time. That's annoying. I think that's why people are so irritated and frustrated and irritable and difficult to deal with. And you can't. You'll see that in the debate with Patrick Bet David. A lot of these people are hysterical, and he's just. I think what I liked about what he did differently was rather than uh, being hysterical, he which I think where people get fucked up with leftists is it's like arguing with your girlfriend when she's being crazy. You try to like if you try to like match their emotional frequency, you're just gonna get lost in the sauce. They're just never gonna get there. And what I liked about this debate is they did all the regular leftist tactics about like randomly changing the subject to dumb bullshit that doesn't matter and trying to catch you on like pedantic definitions and trying to be like, you don't care about me and you want me to die. Like they did all the stuff, right? And he just like very calmly presented a case for a reasonable worldview. It was super fun to watch, honestly. As somebody who is sick of internet debate bro culture, I was super psyched about it. So we're gonna go through all the main ones, all the ones that people are talking about on the internet, and we'll just go through them, and it'll take however long it takes. And then if I have time at the end, I'll do more about the shooting or whatever. But like, I'm kind of sick of talking about that. I'm gonna do this. This is what the internet's talking about right now. This is gonna be fun. Okay, so this is the first one. They're talking. The one thing you'll notice as kind of a through line with all of these is that every single one of these people is dressed in some kind of like androgynous bullshit way that makes them less palatable to the people around them. Every single one. Every single one. None of these people chose like a pleasing aesthetic. This respectfully to this ginger girl. I mean, I'm not saying not a bad looking person at all, but she's, you know, this is she's choosing to dress like a middle-aged man at a golf tournament for some reason. And I don't know why. I don't know why I said golf tournament. That's clearly not what you would wear to a golf tournament. It's like a middle-aged man on a fishing trip, I guess, would be more accurate. I don't know why she's making that choice. But then she's choosing this, right? These are choices that you are making, but this is a person who believes that they don't have choices, that things just happen to them. And those people are super annoying to deal with, and their votes count the same as yours. That's what's I think so critical to understand is that all of these people have essentially the same influence over society that you do, and in many ways they have more because some of these people are influencers, so they have a platform that they've built. You know, you have to respect that, by the way. Have to respect the amount of work it takes to build a platform. So shout out Matt Rife. Mike, you've ruined so many conversations for me. You ruined a Christmas for me, Matt Rife. But god damn it, you have built an effective following, and I have to give you credit for that. I've been talking so much shit about Matt Rife lately. And realizing that like if I ever actually was successful, it's gonna become a problem for me downstream. So I have to do it because that's how the business works. I have no principles. Shout out Matt Rife for building a platform. Did a great job, buddy. Rooting for you. Let's see. Hold on. What's Strider saying? Debating these people is a mistake. Stealing from people to give to others who haven't earned it is evil. There's a discussion to be had. So, okay, yeah. So that's the thing too. I struggle with it too. I until recently, I counted even some hard leftists among my dear friends. It's hard now because it's like I can't respect your beliefs because they're stupid and evil. I can't respect their beliefs because they're stupid and evil. It's if they were just evil or just stupid. Like if somebody believes something stupid, like there's a lot. Like I could be friends with somebody who believed that the Earth was flat, and I'd be like, "Oh, no, like that's fine. That's just him. That's just him." You know, I do like the people can believe things that are stupid, but if you believe things that are stupid and evil, then that's hard. Stupid and evil and are ruining society and have disastrous consequences in the real world in real people's lives and are intent to push those ideas on as many children as they possibly can. That's see, like if you stack all those things up, and then I'm the asshole for being like, please don't. If you want to do that, you can do that over there. Do it over in your spot. Just don't bring that shit to me. Do whatever you want in your house. It used to be the rule. Do whatever you want at your house. Just don't bring that shit near me. And that's but they're not comfortable with that. They want to make the whole country follow their ideas that are both stupid and evil. And that's hard to deal with. But I think the reason I have a hard time respecting leftists is because the animating spirit at the center of leftist politics is resentment. That's what I struggle with. Is just I know that they're all resentful and they're pretending to be compassionate. It's like wearing this like skin suit of compassion, but it's actually just like fuck you for having more than me. And that's why I struggle with it. It's just like, okay, like, you know, yeah, obviously, like, capitalism isn't perfect, and I don't think anybody makes that claim, but all the reasons they say what they want just ultimately boil down to give me more Pringles. That's what I want. I want more Pringles, and I don't want to have to do anything other than what I'm currently doing. And it's like, okay, well, tough noogies. That's just not how things work. And they're just like, yeah, but what if the world is like sad? What do we have to work anyway? I don't know why I'm like saying what they're saying. We're gonna get a ton of that. We're gonna get a ton of that from this. So that's gonna be fun. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then wrong. The Earth is not flat. It's a packed giant turtle wandering around through space. I think that's Hindu theology. Very cool. Anyway, let's fucking party. Let's see what we got here. Go ahead.
Socialist or a communist society, it just changes and evolves. So we see in capitalism the incentive is obviously monetary gain, maybe even collecting capital itself through land ownership. In a communist or a socialist country, you would see incentive would just evolve into, I know it's a vague term, but the common good. You have an incentive.
Okay, notice what I want to draw attention to here. Oh, good ads. Oh, good ads. Guys, there's going to be ads. I forgot that. Oh, fuck. Okay.
If you don't understand the rules of power.
All right, so that's going to be fun. So we'll talk about this while the ad's playing. This is super annoying. Okay. We'll just wait till that's done. What I like that this model's here is, do you see how he's just listening and she's monologuing and she's listening? This is the thing you need to understand. Most people's ideas are very shallow, and if you ask them to do anything other than just repeat talking points, if you ask them to like think independently, or if you ask them to talk for a long time uninterrupted, most of them will start sounding like a moron very quickly. That's all you have to do, really. I think people think that like arguing is about talking. Arguing is about listening and asking questions. And actually persuading people is way more about asking questions, because if you come out on the attack and you put people in the position where to agree with you, they have to admit to being wrong, they're going to feel stupid and bad. But if you can kind of like ask them questions and make them realize they agreed with you the whole time, then you're a lot better off with that. And so he's just like listening, and he's trying to actually understand what she's saying. You'll notice this is a pattern. He tries to listen. They do not feel the same way at all. They do not feel the need to listen. So we're gonna let's go ahead and play this.
It doesn't have to be just monetary.
So you don't think monetary incentive drives people, or you're saying that people should be excited to do their job, whether they're getting incentivized for it or not? That's what you're saying.
People will be incentivized to do.
Give me a case study. Give me a case study of that worked. Give me one case study.
We don't even need to look at case studies. We can just look at.
Right. We don't need to look at. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. Watch how. Do you see how she's ready to pivot? Do you see how he asked her for like one follow-up question, and she immediately folded and pivoted back to monologuing? Do you see that? One follow-up question was all it took. Most people can't answer 2 consecutive follow-up questions about their most dearly held beliefs. Remember that. Most people, like, I think this is a problem. I have a very independent and thoughtful audience. So I think a lot of you are independent thinkers, and you think that other people are doing that also. And I'm like, oh, honey, no. These people don't fucking know anything. So you ask them 2 fucking questions and you find out they don't know anything. A lot of people are leftist because of the good vibes. You know, there's a good vibes. They like, it's cool not having a job and just like, fucking people and whining and smoking pot all day. It's fun. And in a lot of places, the government will pay you to do it. So that's what it comes down to. And also like hating people who have more than you. So. Hold on.
Charity work.
Well, why don't we actually look at a case study? You got 2 countries, North Korea, South Korea. One is communism and one is capitalism.
Yes.
North Korea's GDP last year was $23 billion.
Are we
There are
judging
many
countries'
companies.
values based
There
off
are many
GDP
that's
and not?
because
Do you see how she's interrupting him before she's actually understood what he's trying to say? Do you see that? Because before he was letting her talk. Remember that part? And now it's his turn to talk. You see how she hasn't even like registered what his point is. He hasn't even remotely begun to make it. See, he's a podcaster, so he's very long-winded. He just takes forever to say anything. And by the way, that's fine. I mean, this is a real pot meets kettle situation, but yeah, I don't think there's any good vibes. Shout out Professor Savage Dad. I don't think there's any good vibes that come out of the idea that you have a right to somebody else's labor. It's the very ideal that was held by anybody who's ever owned slaves. Yeah, what's crazy is they don't see it that way. They just see it as like you talk to leftists and they're like, I don't want to have to work. I just want to exist in nature. But capitalism forces me to earn my right to exist. And it's like, bro, one through line with communists, they're all historically illiterate. That is a 100% true. Because if you start asking them specific questions about history, they just don't understand things. Because remember, they believe that that Europe was uniquely imperial, that slavery was uniquely European, that conquering land and taking big pieces of territory is a uniquely white European phenomenon. And to believe that, you have to be historically illiterate. You have to just not know anything. And also, they believe that we will get to this later, but there's a woman who really does. She spends her whole time trying to advance the idea that real communism has never been tried. And it's like, bro, you are not more ruthless and effective and capable than Joseph Stalin. You're not. You're not going to be better at implementing communism. What they mean to say is communism would go better if I were doing it. That's what they mean. So I think all of this is just coming from a place of ignorance and historical illiteracy. And some of that's intentional. A lot of these people are products of the school system. Like almost every single one of these people, I would say, probably became Marxists in college. Every single one. I don't think any one of them. And they haven't had time. The real world will correct you a little bit if you go out in the world and try to apply Marxist principles anywhere outside of a college campus. The world will like hard correct you. So because those principles they don't map onto reality well, and you're just not going to get good results. So that will be a corrective. Reality acts as a corrective a little bit. So you have to be kind of like shielded from reality. These people, like again, it's like a lot of people, they just live in like weird, like hippie polycools and shit. So they just live very different, very, 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 very different lives from you normal people who are employed. And I don't know. I used to be easy to be friends with people like this, and now in the current time, I don't understand why. I think it's like I think echo chambers make people get more extreme because the leftists they're making now seem like more entitled, more unhinged, more mentally ill, really not that good at arguing. Like I remember what's crazy about like leftists not being good at arguing is that there's a lot of persuasive arguments for Marxism. That's why it caught on. It's very persuasive if you just don't think about the implications. Like you're just like, oh yeah, you know what? It is kind of unfair that he has more than me. I'd like to have more. Like that's a very human idea that's like right deep down in your gut. It's like, I'd like to have more. He has more than me. That doesn't seem fair. But you just haven't thought about it, And if you think about it for long enough, then eventually you're like, oh no, this is retarded. Go ahead.
That's a job, freedom of speech. You can't, like, if you lived in North Korea, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing right now. You wouldn't have.
He's being very, 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 very gentle with her, which I think is nice. He's not yelling. He's not like demolishing. He's also a lot bigger than her, so I think he's like conscious of optics here.
Yeah,
in South Korea, I'm gonna give you stats. In South Korea, their GDP is $1.7 trillion.
South Korea is also owned by like 5 companies in total in the entire
70
country.
times better
you think
than
that's
North
something
Korea.
to live by? If you are employed by the top 5
free.
countries, you are practically unemployed in these countries.
Do you like to be free?
I'm not going to be free in a country like South Korea where I'm only employed in 5 companies
to
or
call
no
somebody
job.
out like me? Do you like?
See how she's just like whining? See how she's just like whining at him? See how that's happening? And she's not listening to, like, he's trying to just like gently like make a case to her and kind of weave these two ideas. And he hasn't even finished presenting his first idea, right? And she's just interrupting in a whine voice. You hear that? Just horrible. Just awful. Just difficult to deal with. I understand why you guys don't want to be friends with these people, but he's kind of, you see how he's just like, he's not yelling, but he is continuing to finish. Okay. Because I think he really should finish this point. I understand the point he's trying to make, and he's kind of like taking a while to wind up to it, but he's talking to somebody that he's assuming has no idea what he's talking about. So he's taking the time to make the point. So I appreciate that.
To be free where you can have a strong opinion. Do you like to be free to have your
I
dreams
like to be
as-
free, but that's why I'm anti-capitalist.
Well, maybe you ought to
That
move
is
to
why
North
I'm
Korea
anti-capitalist,
or
because
Cuba or
capitalism
Venezuela.
removes that choice. There is no real incentive of capitalism because the incentive is survival.
if I
when
were
you get
to-
into communism, the incentive is for the common
I
good.
love that. I got an offer for you before we move on.
Wait, hold
If
on.
I were to give
What's the offer going to be, guys? This is actually the clip that went viral. This is like the pertinent part, right? Because remember, this young lady, respectfully, is a zoo animal, right? She's not. This is a slack-jawed zoo animal who's just repeating things she heard on the phone or talking points she was trained in. This is not a human being who has independent creative thought. Okay, just a zoo animal that works for what they want to do. Okay, so this person's being used to push an agenda. This is not a person who is like thoughtful and creative independently, right? So watch this as he asks her to validate her principles. Go ahead.
you your $2,350, which is the cost to renunciate your citizenship, and I paid you your first class, flight to whatever communist country, and $20,000 of spending
me a
money.
communist country.
Would you give up your citizenship to
Name
go
me
to
a
that
communist
country?
country and I'll move
Whichever
back there.
communist country.
See that? Like he's asking her. He's trying to put her in a difficult position and be like, put your money where your mouth is, which is a debate tactic, right? And there's ways you can respond to that, but like, and she's switching to the classic leftist debate tactic of being pedantic. It's like, name something specific now. Do it. And she thinks that's a winning position, but that actually fucks up. That actually fucks her up later, as we'll see. Go ahead.
Want to go to
yeah,
Cuba? We
that's
can
not
give
a
you
communist
Venezuela.
country.
We give you North Korea. Any one of those you want
Those
to go
aren't
to.
communist countries. Not
Choose any one of them. I'll give you one-way ticket, and I'll fund it for
Now,
you.
I know what you're thinking. Those are communist countries, but she's saying no. Those aren't communist countries. Do you know why? Because real communism has never been tried. That's their infinite regression. All arguments against communism can be refuted by real communism has never been tried. And all of their arguments regress to that. It's reality isn't fair, right? And then any argument against them from that position can ultimately be regressed to, because you could say, what about all the atrocities of the Soviet Union? What about all the horrible poverty in Venezuela? What about Cuba? Why are people fleeing these countries to come here if capitalism is so bad? All of that. Oh, well, real communism has never been tried. That's what you don't understand. See, if I were in charge, me, fucking this redheaded girl is dressed like a little boy from The Sandlot. If redheaded girl was in charge of communism, then it would go great. This is the infinite narcissism of the left. But that's the whole, you're going to hear that a lot, actually, is that what they mean is my perfect system does not exist. Therefore, I'm not even going to try. And it's completely disregarding the fact that through all of human history, there haven't been perfect conditions. Life has been like really cruel and unfair. It used to be if you like skinned your knee on the prairie or whatever, it just got infected and they either cut your leg off or you died. And sometimes they cut your leg off and then you died anyway. That happens too. Like sometimes they cut your leg off and you deal with that. And they don't have like anesthesia. You're just like drinking whiskey and like chewing on a belt while they're like sawing. And they didn't like chop it. They sawed it. So it's like, fuck, man, not good. And sometimes you die anyway. Sometimes that didn't help. And remember, their gripe is not because they're not fighting for people in the developing world to have more, right? They're fighting for themselves to have more. They're like, I want to focus here on the United States. Like he keeps doing that. He keeps bringing up relevant international context. But the thing is, they don't know anything about that. They only know about like, I think life is unfair because some people have more than me. And I want to have more. So they're obviously not concerned with like equitably distributing things across the entire world. And they're very clear about that. That'll become clear later. I gotta move faster. I'm spending too much time on this. Okay, go ahead.
If you want to.
That's it.
Okay, we'll do the next one. Let's see. Who do I want to do next? Oh, this guy. I'll skip over this guy. He's not that interesting. Most of the interesting clips come from the middle. Oh, this lady. Okay, so this one, oh man, this was this is a tough one to watch. Go ahead. Hold on, let's see what the chat's talking about. So I'm here. Oh, Professor Savage Dad is here, so there's lots of chats. Oh fuck, man. So many chats. Okay, I appreciate the engagement, buddy. Professor Savage Dad. I've often said that collectivists aren't actual humans. They don't have souls, much like strippers. Hey, strippers have souls. Strippers have souls. Collectivists do not, though. I agree with you. Communists are basically lizard people. I agree with you. A lot of them are like, I actually do think some of them, here's the thing. I don't know if they mean it when they are compassionate anymore. I don't know if they actually mean that. Because I used to think that some of them were actually trying to be compassionate. And I do think that some people genuinely believe everyone should share and have more, right? Some people do believe that, but so many of them are just like lizard people who want to take from other people without doing any work. They want a bigger share of the stuff without doing any of the work to acquire it, the stuff. And they don't want to do any of the work to build stuff. Somebody should build this for me. Somebody should make this for me. And they feel like they deserve it because it would enhance their quality of life or whatever. That's lizard people behavior. I agree. And there's some people, it's not fair. People should have more. Like at the beginning, nowadays, it's getting harder and harder to feel that way. I'd say in 2020, if I met a collectivist or somebody who was like, pre-2020 especially, I'm like, oh, okay. I understand why you'd feel that way because the world isn't fair. And if you live in a rich and powerful country, if you have a good life, you're like, why can't more people have more things? And I get that. I understand that impulse. But now when you see the downstream consequences and like how these people behave publicly, no, I can't imagine. I think the problem with the leftists is they're constantly validating each other's emotions. Like that's a big issue because they're constantly validating each other's emotions and they're like, yes, but they don't validate your emotions as like what that should be. Hold on, I'm going to hide this real quick. What that actually, okay, so when you're talking about validating emotions, it's like you could like have your emotion, whatever it is, but that doesn't mean you're right. And that doesn't mean your emotion is in charge. Right. But I think what the leftists do it is your emotions are correct and they're your best reasoning tool for making sense of reality. Right. Which is not true. But just because you feel like it's right doesn't mean it's right. You know what I'm saying? But the leftists don't have that delineation. So because they're rewarded and supported when they have big emotional outbursts and they can kind of like they're energy vampires and they can kind of seek sympathy and attention and kind of from doing that, I think, I think that they get worse at regulating their emotions and just like not melting down. Let's do this because this is what I said I was going to do. I keep monologuing. This is what I'm saying about podcasters can never say anything briefly. This is why I would struggle in an environment like this. I would rather all 20 of them be yelling at me at the same time than have to talk to them one-on-one. That would be tough. All right.
Good.
Grace?
Yes, Grace.
Good to meet
Hi.
you.
I want to say that I think it's pretty comical that an elite such as yourself.
See, she's here to monologue. She's here to monologue. This is like when your girlfriend practiced her argument in the car on the way home. And you're like, fuck. You just got to sit there and deal with it. Go ahead.
Has the goal to tell us average Americans who's in poverty and who's not. A lot of times,
I was an average American.
You're
I
not
was
anymore.
a guy that was in poverty.
You're not anymore.
And you can also
you're
change. You can also change.
Anyways,
Do you believe
you're
you
talking
can
down.
change?
There's nothing you can say to a leftist that will upset them more than I think your life could be better if you made different choices. Or I think you could because their whole thing is I'm fine the way I am. I'm fine. Everything is perfect. I'm a superstar. I'm perfect the way I am. And the world isn't fair. And that's why I don't have more things. They're completely unwilling to adapt themselves to reality. They want reality to adapt to them, which is fundamentally like a feminine mindset. This is how it works. Women like notice what's wrong and then they bitch at men about it, and then men go fix it. That's the dynamic. That's why it's so unpalatable when men act like this, by the way. With her, we'll tolerate it because she's you know, the certain amount of men will decide that that's hot enough for her to act like that. A lot of men will be, comfortable with that. So that's why but from men, it's completely unpalatable. And from, you got it. Like, there's the hot, crazy skill for sure. That's a real thing. That's a real swing. Shut up, Professor Savage Dad. I think your life could be better if you made different choices. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Oh, man. Go ahead.
A lot of times that the market for poverty is actually very low. So a lot of times, like $2 a day is the line for how they measure poverty.
$2.15, yeah.
And that's ridiculous. So if I make $5 a day, I'm not in poverty.
But that's because it's around the world,
actually
not in
live.
America.
Right. Do you see how he tried to make a logical point because she was saying some hysterical nonsense? And she's not. Now, what she should have said was, "Oh, thanks, Daddy. I didn't know that." And shut her whore mouth. That's what she should have done. But she's not going to do that because she's willful and spirited. So she's going to continue to monologue at him. She did not anticipate that he was going to have a logical response to what she was saying. Right. Because she's just like repeating the shit off that she heard on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Professor Savage Dad, simping is an epidemic. Simping is ruining the country. Simping is ruining society because this woman thought that was going to be a cool argument because no man has ever disagreed with her before. That's actually really important in order for hot women to become people, they need to have men in their lives that are okay disagreeing with them sometimes. And usually it's got to be father or brothers because like basically every man who's not related to them is going to just do whatever she wants because she's hot, because we live in a world where we're just completely surrounded by simps. So it's got to be like, fathers, brothers, people who actually care about her enough to tell her the truth, that's why women are delusional, is because like they're being lied to from the second they wake up, every single second of every single day. The whole time they're awake, they're being lied to by, men who want things from them. So that's why they're like that. They don't realize they're being lied to. They actually haven't questioned the narrative because they haven't been given a reason to. And so what's crazy is Patrick Bet-David in this case cares enough to like say facts to this woman, but not in a mean way. Yeah, go ahead.
And pay the rent.
Sure.
But we're talking about this country, right? We're not talking about around the world. I've noticed that you like to do that. You like to like skirt from America and talk about other countries
to
try to make it look like we're better, but we're actually getting worse.
America's the greatest country in the world.
Anyways, it's the greatest country. We are at the highest that we've ever been with homelessness.
Bird hands. Bird hands. She's doing bird hands, guys. We have a bird hand sighting. Remember we talked about bird hands? Remember talking about bird hands? This is like anytime a woman's doing this in a discussion, she's like weaponizing the HR department to destroy you. Like just keep that in mind. If you see that, red flag. If they're pointed back at themselves, that's okay. But if they're pointed out at you, no good. No good. I'm saying for a lot of men, she's hot enough. She's not hot. She's mid at best. I'm saying for a lot of men, she's like hot enough that they'll just agree with anything she says, especially leftist men. You remember? His leftist men are like Weasley girly men. You're thinking, I know it's hard for you to put yourself in the mind of a simp because if you're watching this show, you're a man of honor and culture and you respect yourself. Right. It's hard for my audience to understand the mind of a simp, the feeble mind of a simp. I get it. But to a simp, they would drool over this. I don't understand the hate for septum rings, man. I like chicks that are a little bit fucked up. I do. I've never met a girl who had a nose ring, a tongue ring, and a father. True story. Again, see, you guys don't understand. This is like the best they could. This is probably the hottest one they could find. She was the hottest one there. Probably. We'll get through the rest of them, but let's see. Go ahead.
Since we started collecting
Why is
data.
that? Ask your. Are you from
because
California?
we haven't had a
Are
pay
you
raise
from
since
California?
2009.
Do you live
Our
here?
minimum wage nationally
Yeah.
is $7.25.
Okay.
And you wonder why we have the highest poverty rate. You think that capitalism's winning? Can you survive?
See, she's lovely, but she's presented in a very unaesthetic way. Do you see how she's like wearing like fucking cargo pants? And you know, she's doing bird hands and she's being confrontational. Like if she was just I promise you, if this woman was wearing a sundress and made you sourdough bread, you know, you would not be such a hater. I think you're being a hater because she's a communist. I think you're giving her that communist deduction. You're not thinking about her, you know. Just not thinking about it the right way, guys. I'm not trying to like defend this woman's. I mean, come on, guys. We've seen what attracts simps on the internet. We've seen it. Like, we know that you don't have to be, you know, stupendously hot to attract simping. I'm saying this woman is attracting simping, and that's why she's like this. Hold on, Vagabonds entered the chat. The problem is that they don't understand what capitalism actually is, and they've been taught they have a monopoly on caring for other people. Yes, that's a huge problem. So they think that if you don't support leftist policies, you don't care about people. And what the right often says is, actually, I don't think leftist policies are good for people. I think it corrupts you morally. It like makes you a shitty person. And to have a parasitic relationship with the state makes you kind of a shitty person, and it makes people, it's like resentment politics, and it's like bad for your soul. It's actually, hard work is good for you, and hard work is good for you. A little sweat on the brow, a little elbow grease is actually good for you. And leftists hate that idea, the idea that like work or suffering is good. Well, okay, so the leftists have this idea that suffering is the worst thing that could ever happen to you, and the right has more of like the Christian idea that suffering can build character. And the Catholics take it a step further, and we say that suffering is a gift from God, and I should be grateful for it. And it's usually we have this idea that it's preparing us for something down the line. And that's usually is the case, by the way. Your suffering does make you tougher. And if you can learn the lessons you're supposed to learn from it, then you can carry that forward into the next thing. You know, but leftists don't see it that way. They can't, because remember, what do they care about? Their moment-to-moment emotional state, how they feel right now, and winning. That's all they care about. And Vagabond is completely right. And they don't understand that they're not the only ones who care about people. Like, you can care a lot about people and still not support forceful wealth redistribution administered by the government. Like, that's not a requirement for caring about people. We could just disagree about what's good for people. And also, I think the leftist policies, like I said, they feel good to say. Yeah, but if you like game out the consequences, they end up being really bad downstream. Go ahead.
Would you like to live off $7.25
I
an
used to
hour?
work for $4.25 at Haagen-Dazs.
Right.
Then I
And that
went
was
and
a
worked
very
at
different time.
Burger King for $4.75.
And how much do you make
Then
now?
I make millions today. Then
Right,
I
and
worked
that's
at
why
Bob's
you like
Big Boy.
capitalism, because we're not all making
but
that.
But
And
the
that's my
difference
point.
is, but
A
the difference.
millionaire-
But here's the thing: even if you're not all making that, this is one that comes up again. Well, we can't all be millionaires. We can't all be billionaires. Right. Not everybody can, but everybody's life can be better if they make better choices. You want to be in a system. You don't want to be in a system where your choices don't matter, because that's where despair sets in. If you're in a system where your choices don't matter, despair sets in. And I think they're saying there's no, it's like what he's saying is your choices can make your life better, even if you don't become a millionaire. And they're saying, if I can't become a millionaire, then why even try? So it doesn't, the part that bothers them is that there's going to be somebody who has more than them. It's not about making their life better than it is right now, or making their life better in the future than it was in the past. They don't care about that, because that's something everyone can do. They don't care about that. They're like, well, why even bother if there's going to be somebody that exists who has more than me? It's resentment. They just don't like it that people have more than them. They don't give a shit about poor people. That's a grift. They don't actually care about poor people. They're using the existence of poor people to emotionally manipulate the people who have more than them to gimme. give it to me, not to the poor people. Give it to me. You know, and because a lot of these people are like not totally stupid. So a lot of them are wildly overeducated. So they have these university degrees that they were told made them part of the aristocracy. And then we made them go be baristas. So you can't undo that amount of class resentment, especially because we trained them all to be Marxist revolutionaries and told them they were better than everybody. And then we made them be baristas. And they're like making coffee for guys who are plumbers who have no education that they were told where this is the mongrel slave class. That's literally how, if you listen to how women with college degrees talk about men without college degrees, that's what they're communicating. It's like, you guys are the mongrel slave class, right? And then those guys are making like 4 times what they're making, and in terms of income, and then they come in and get their coffee. And they're the one pouring the coffee, even though you're part of the aristocracy. You can't undo that kind of class resentment. And that's really what it comes down to, is they hate the people who have more than them, and they blame it on the billionaires. And a lot of this is like, a lot of this is about, most of these people are just yelling at their dad. They're like, fuck you, dad. That's most of socialism right there. You can see that if you look at it all through the lens of 1,000 bird ants. Yeah, it is. If you just look at it all through the lens of fuck you, dad, then everything they're doing makes sense. Go ahead.
Is critiquing the people in poverty and saying you should work harder. You should work. You can be me. We can't all be it.
My hope is that you believe.
That's not the argument. The argument is that your life could be. Actually, you know what? He's going to make the argument. Why am I interrupting him? Go ahead.
You can change and improve. That you believe you can upgrade yourself. That's my belief.
You know what? That's what rich people like you want to keep telling us. But you can be just like me. Do you want to be like me? If you work hard enough,
I'm not
you can
saying
be like
that.
me. It's not very realistic.
It's actually, you wouldn't be able to be like me because
You're
you wouldn't work that
talking down to
hard.
people like
Would you
us.
work that hard?
You don't.
Would you,
I'm not going to tell you. I don't have to answer that.
If you don't choose to.
It's like, bro, you don't want to do with this because you don't want to pay the entry fee. That's it. You don't want to do what I'm doing. So it's like you want what I have, but you don't want to do the work that you would need to do to make this happen. So that's why you don't have it. See what I'm saying? And she's just like, she's trying to avoid being boxed into this point. She's doing a terrible job. Go ahead. You see how she hasn't stopped speaking the entire time? Go ahead.
Measure I don't have to measure my work ethic to be worthy.
You don't have to. Then you can't be upset for others who do so. You can't be.
She made a hair flip. Made a great point. Yeah, and I've seen this happen in real time. So the reason she does that, the hair flip, owned it, is because she's used to people going, ooh, yes, Slay Queen, yes, when they talk, right? They're used to that. They're expecting that reaction to some degree. I've seen this happen in real time, and it's not always something profound. It's just something that sounds rhythmically good. I was doing a comedy show one time, and I was doing some crowd work. It's a comedian who went up before me went up. It was a lady comedian. She talked about how she was too good for the Cheesecake Factory or whatever. And that was like 2 hours before I went up, and I was just stewing the entire time because I was so bad. And I got up, and I was like, I just talked to the women in the room. I was like, you bitches really think you're too good for the Cheesecake Factory? Anyway, this went back and forth for a while. I was having a lot of fun with the crowd. I was getting a lot of feedback. And then one woman was like, just because the Cheesecake Factory is popular doesn't mean it's good. And they were like, whole room went, ooh, and started snapping. It was a very hippie kind of place. And I was like, stop it. That's not profound. That's not wisdom. That's just like an empty, vacuous nonsense statement. That doesn't mean anything. It's the Cheesecake Factory is $50 a plate. If I'm taken there, fucking appreciate it. I mean, this girl really said she'd rather have In-N-Out than Cheesecake Factory. And it's like, well, fuck you then. Okay, I'd much rather go to In-N-Out. In-N-Out burgers still $5. Jesus Christ. You could feed 2 people for $30 at In-N-Out. Cheesecake Factory is $50 a plate. I don't want to get too into this. I'm still mad about it. I was sitting in the back of that room just fucking stewing about this for 2 hours. I'm still mad about it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Whatever. I wish I'd filmed that. That would have been a fun rant. I had a good time with that. Go ahead.
be upset for people who are struggling?
No, because they work
and that's
harder
what's wrong
than
with
you.
capitalism, because
But
you
go back
think
to the
that
homelessness.
You have to work so hard.
Do you live in the state of California?
I do.
Okay, you said homelessness.
Yes.
What do you think about your Governor Newsom? What do you think about him?
I don't like him. I'm a progressive. He doesn't do enough for the people.
Do you know when he
takes corporate money.
Fantastic.
He takes money from people like
when
you.
He was,
he's not
I've
for
never
the
given
people.
him money. But do you know when he first became
that's
a
not
governor?
A surprise, but a
I
lot
would
of people
never
like
give
you
him
have.
money. But when he became a governor first, from then till today.
This is the problem. Do you see how he's trying to talk and she's just talking and talking and talking and talking and she's trying to derail it? But do you see how he's just like staying on topic and he's going to finish what he was saying and like not. I think that derailing tactic is effective if you take the bait. And then it's very frazzling to talk to someone like that. But just remember, if you're talking to someone who's doing that, you're not talking to someone who wants to have a real conversation. They're trying to change the subject so many times that you don't finish one point and it sounds like you didn't say anything. And their points are very easy to say because all of their arguments fit on bumper stickers. You know, it's like trans rights are human rights. Fits on a bumper sticker. No human is illegal. Is there emotional appeals? Right? And they fit on bumper stickers. So while you're trying to explain like a train of thought and like logical reasoning, they can jump in with an emotional deflection and derail what you were saying and then get people on their side that way. Because most people are not going to be able to follow your train of thought, especially if it's being interrupted repeatedly. Most people are not going to be able. Most people couldn't follow it even if you said it without interruptions, to be honest. Yeah. All right. Let's see what else we're doing. Go ahead.
He's raised the amount of homelessness in this state by 36,000 people.
Okay, you know, I don't like the guy, but he's not at fault for homelessness. People like you are. Billionaires like you are the
gave
problem.
him 24 billion. Taxpayers
I believe it.
gave
I don't
him
like
24 billion.
Side note, I really like these real-time fact checks. Very cool. Very cool. Good job, Jubilee, for not being retarded.
And he didn't do nothing with it.
Vote
it
him
increased.
out. Vote him out.
You
He's
vote
just
him
like
out. You have him. It's not that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
but
not
no,
here
I would
to
tell
defend
you.
Newsom.
You can
but
go.
You're not much different than him. That's all I'm saying. You're in the same class.
But you're sitting here blaming a person who's changed their lives for the better. And it's their fault. My dad was.
This is not the United States of Patrick Bet David.
Do you know
this
where?
This is the United States of America.
I know, and I'm.
Okay, do you see how that doesn't mean anything? See how that's just, this isn't at the United States of Patrick Bet David. This is the United States of America. And we're supposed to go, ooh, yes. That was so profound. And it doesn't mean anything. Like, that's not an argument. What does that mean? What, could you articulate to me what point she's making with that? No, of course you can't. I have no idea what she's saying. That was something she thought of in the car on the way here. And she's excited to say it. And that was, she just felt like, yeah, this is a good point. Simp white guys need to stop fetishizing these mid-Latin girls. That's how we end up with Timo AOC here. Yeah, that's true. And that's how we ended up with original AOC, for being honest. We really got to stop doing this, guys. Like, simping is the main problem. I'm telling you guys, that's why I spent so much time on it. That's why I spent so much time on it, is because simping is the main problem. Go ahead.
So grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to be here.
But are you willing to pay more taxes so that other people don't suffer? Are you willing to pay more taxes so other people don't suffer? I am so grateful to be here. I see you're skirting the question.
Are you willing to pay more taxes so that other people don't suffer? Now, here's the problem with this. See how that's emotionally loaded and that goes on a bumper sticker? See what I'm saying about that? Okay, immediately you understand it. But baked in there, there's fake presuppositions. Like, the assumption is that if he paid more taxes, fewer people would suffer. And there's no evidence of that because the government is really bad at allocating resources. They waste a ton of money, right? But the other thing too is there's an assumption in that statement that the reason people are suffering is because Patrick Bet David and people like him refuse to pay more taxes. This is something leftists talk about all the time, this idea of artificial scarcity. Like, because there's scarcity is something that exists in economics where there's not enough of things for everyone to have everything. So it's got to be distributed somehow. And markets do a really good job of distributing it. And you could also do it with like a centrally planned economy and have a government decide who gets what, but that gets messy. And there's all sorts of incentives that lead to corruption and violence. And eventually people go to camps. That's just because eventually the person with the most power, you can lip service it such that, you know, everyone is equal all you want. But the person who decides who gets what stuff is the person with the most power. And that's going to have to be enforced somehow. Like, and we'll get to that later. I hope we'll have time to get to that. This might just be a longer video, but actually not really. I only got a few more I want to talk about. I'll probably just cap it at 2.5 hours, maybe 3 if I have to, but yeah, so this is yeah, that's what's going on with that. She looks like Ducky from Land Before Time. That's what it is.
My dad was a cashier in Inglewood at a 99-cent store. We had nothing. No, I don't tell you that's great. We had nothing.
Well,
I'm the guy that had I'm the guy that had a
I'm the propaganda that you guys so you can be like me.
But what you don't want to hear is that because it's the truth.
We
Can I ask you a
all
question?
be like you.
When's the last time you read a business book? When's the last time you read a self-help book?
I don't need to answer that. Oh,
When's the last time you read a self-help?
I wrote a self-help book.
Tell
I'm
me
a writer.
Guys, she's a life coach. Her life is animated by resentment, and she's creating self-help content. Think about that. Think about the implications of that for a second. A person who is animated by the spirit that I should have more, and I'm better than you, and I am deeply, deeply, deeply resentful of the people who have more than me, is writing life advice for other people. And it's all going to be coded in that I'm a victim. You know, I'm a victim. I'm the best, you know, I deserve more, but I don't want to have to. And what he's asking her really pointedly is, what are you doing to make your life better? And he's asking her with really specific questions. And that's a hard question. Like, that's a lot of us. The truth is, almost all of us could be doing more to make our lives better. Almost all of us could. Everyone is vulnerable to that that line of questioning. And having the humility to be able to admit that is something that leftists do not have. Leftists want to change reality to match their fantasy world, essentially their fantasy world where there's no suffering and there's no scarcity, and they get everything that they feel like they deserve. But here's the thing: scarcity is real. They have this idea that scarcity is this artificial construct that only exists because billionaires are greedy, and that's not true. Scarcity has existed throughout all of time. Resources have always gathered into fewer and fewer hands over time. There's literally a biblical principle about this. It's in the Bible, so it predates Marx, it predates capitalism. For those who have everything, more will be given from, and then for those who have nothing, everything will be taken. Something like that. Yeah. It's in the Bible. Anyway, so this idea is old. It's been with us for a long time, and it's just kind of how things work, and nobody knows why. And redistributionist policies by the government are an attempt to manually override the way resources naturally tend to flow and turn into fewer and fewer hands. And nobody knows why. And it's also like, obviously, like we all know hardworking people who don't, do well. It's just like we all know dipshits who have a lot of money. So it's like part of this is just like an unwillingness to grapple with and accept the fact that life is not fair. That's a big problem that leftists struggle with. They can't deal. They can't deal. All right, we're about done with her. We're gonna move on pretty soon.
I'm a creative.
Tell me what self-help book you read.
I'm not really a cupcake.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and watch this ad. I'm gonna hide this on stream though because I gotta get YouTube Premium if I'm gonna keep doing this. That's super annoying. But yeah, essentially, that's crazy that she wrote a self-help book, and her whole life is animated by this idea of fuck you for having more stuff than me. That's weird. Is that my question is like, I understand writing a self-help book. My question is anybody reading it? Because almost anybody can make anything right now, So I don't know. That's the thing. It's like, it's the difference between between having awards and creating value. Like a lot of people now, especially on the left in academia or whatever, they like awards, they like certifications, they like, see, like I have this award that says that, I was named, top 15 7-Eleven cashiers in the greater tri-state area 3 years in a row. And it's like, all right, cool. And they look at that as meanwhile, like actually like creating value is difficult. So writing a self-help book is fine, but I wonder if it's actually helped anyone to help themselves. And he's making a great point. It's like you could actually, there's almost certainly something you could do that you have not done that would improve your life. Right. And he knows this because he did a lot of things. He embarked on this mission of trying to improve his own life, and he ended up a millionaire. So who knows? I mean, maybe he's a total fuckwit. I don't know. I haven't checked up on him. I don't know what he's doing, but let's see what we got here.
Two.
Give me one you read. Are you willing to take one recommendation?
No.
You're not.
Not for me.
Then I can't help you.
That's okay. I don't need your help. I didn't come here for your
great.
help. I
You've
came
been
here to
flagged
debate
out.
you. Good.
Awesome.
That's crazy. That's crazy to just be that headstrong and just like, well, she just went in there to yell at him. She didn't want any kind of dialogue or any kind of feedback. And I think he honestly went into this hoping to maybe have a conversation with some people. And there were some people that were open to that. But I understand why people don't want to hang out with leftists when they act like that, I guess, is the point. Okay, this is one of the most unsettling ones. So we got to get to this. I got to be careful.
My next claim is if all the money in the world were divided equally, it would return to the same pockets within 5 years.
This is the kind of thing. So money does naturally kind of move around, and it tends to consolidate in fewer and fewer hands. And the people who have money are going to be the people who got a bunch of their money taken away are still going to have all of the knowledge about how to make money. So they're going to allocate their resources more effectively. Like not everybody is necessarily better at allocating resources. And the government is way worse at allocating resources than certain individuals. And so that's just how things are. And that's very hard for leftists to accept because I don't think they object to the fact that some individuals have a lot of resources. They object to the fact that they're not the ones with a lot of resources. Like I think they want to be the resource allocator. They want to have all the money and decide where it goes. So then the government is like a proxy for like collective ownership, and then they can kind of enforce their will that way. Anyway, so we're going to dive into that. This is fun.
What's your name?
Caleb.
Caleb?
Yeah. So you just said...
This person, I'll warn you, this person is very hard to look at. It's deeply unsettling. Deeply unsettling. Not trying to be a hater, just a fact. This is a deeply unsettling interaction.
That you are proposing if we divided all the wealth equally in like 5 years. How would you propose we divide the wealth in that way? In this thought experiment, again, if we're going to give it a serious look, I want to understand, how would you propose that happen?
I hope you really...
Okay, do you see how this person is intentionally misunderstanding the hypothetical and pretending that they're trying to understand the hypothetical? Leftists do that all the time. Be very careful with that. Willfully misunderstanding what you said and acting like they're trying to understand it. So this is like a technique to try to make you look stupid. Or it is downstream of them just actually being stupid. Like a lot of them just don't know things. So it's hard to tell, but it happens all the time. So go ahead.
This is just a question we're asking everybody, right? But if you take all the wealth, which is around $500 trillion, okay, give or take, you divide it by 8 billion people, it would be around $62,500 each. Within 5 years, the people that don't know how to handle money themselves, they would lose it all. And within 5 years, the same wealthy would get the same amount of money.
As someone who certainly doesn't make that much money, I'm willing to take that as a gamble just for fun.
Right,
I'll be honest. But at the same time, like, okay, so you're just now claiming that people who don't have wealth don't know how to manage it. And that's fair because a lot of them have never had it before. So
there you go. Okay, so understanding. Okay, so if you understand that, then you probably agree, right? Let's find out.
What do we do to basically ensure that people like myself who are currently, thank you to the United States, thank you to the state of California for giving me medical insurance to get blood work, for giving me food stamps so I can have food. I've applied to, I don't know how many hundreds of jobs. I can show you the receipts. I can show you the email confirmations. Like, I am trying my best to use my values with the freedom that we have
So
here.
if I give you a job, you would work 40 hours a week?
If the job is in alignment with something that's noble and good.
There it is. See how quickly he unraveled that? I'm trying my best. Would you work 40 hours a week? If it's in alignment with something noble and good, not even something neutral. It has to be in alignment with something noble and good. Part of this is a function of leftist philosophy because they believe that the personal is political and that there's no such thing as like apolitical acts. That's why they fucked up like video games and movies and all that stuff. That's why they did that, is because everything is personal. There's nothing that's apolitical. So that includes art. So they had to fuck up art and make it leftist. Because if it's not explicitly leftist, then it's implicitly rightist. Right. So, yeah. So that's.
I think I could. The issue is, and again, you may say that this is a personal weakness, but like right now, substitute teaching, tutoring, trying to help in that way is making it so that I'm able to scratch by.
Yeah.
But without the supplemental income and the help from the society of people who make more money,
but let's,
I'm going to not have enough
food.
food.
I want to address something which you made a point that I agree with. On why don't some people create wealth? In my family, when I was growing up, and I was telling this young lady over here, when my dad was a cashier at a 99-cent store,
Okay, do you see how he uses personal anecdotes to make his point? That's very effective. That's very effective. Most people don't understand like data. Most people actually don't understand what you're talking about when you're talking about data. It's useful, and leftists will pretend that they want data when you make a point they don't agree with. They'll get really particular and ask you where the data comes from, especially if it's like an appeal to natural law or ancient wisdom or personal anecdote or something like that. But the truth is, what actually gets people to change their mind about stuff is moving personal anecdotes. So it depends on what your concern is. Like, do you care if people agree with you, or do you want to be right? It depends. And if your personal anecdote lines up with data, or you can use a personal anecdote to explain data, then that's super effective. Like what he's doing right here is super effective. But this isn't for this fake creature sitting across from him. This is for the audience at home. So.
Never owned an insurance policy before. My parents, we've never owned a house before. I've never lived in an apartment with a swimming pool before. We've never had a 401k, stock, mutual fund, none of that stuff. I had no clue how money worked. So for me, when I got out of the Army with a 1.8 GPA, out of high school, I went straight to the Army because I didn't know how money works. If you look at our system today, in high school, we learn about a lot of different things. They don't teach us about taxes, finances, mutual funds, stocks, bonds. Colleges don't even teach a lot of that right now. So
Do you
come
work
out
in a high school?
Oh man, my stream got struck from YouTube. That's a huge bummer. Oh man. Oh, that's a huge bummer. Okay, so it looks like my stream got struck from YouTube. So the Rumble audience is the only audience I have. That's super disappointing. Not that I don't like my Rumble audience. I love my Rumble audience. But that's just a lot fewer of you now that are watching this. It was super annoying. Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess I'll keep doing it. That's a huge bummer though. Oh well. I'll keep doing it. Fuck it. I don't have anything else to do today. So what was I doing? Oh yeah. I felt like this is transformational. I thought I was allowed to do this as long as it was transformational. Like I don't think you could accurately say this as a yeah, I don't think you could say that this is like a replacement for watching it because I'm like skipping around a lot and I'm only like zooming in on certain parts that I think are interesting, which you're allowed to do as far as I know. I'm guessing that what happened is Jubilee is just particularly litigious and they like to get stuff struck. So that's probably what happens. My Rumble chat is closed. Hold on. No, I can see I see your message. I see your message, Vagabond. Hold on. Why is my Rumble chat closed? That's weird. All right, I'm gonna mess around with the Rumble chat. Well, now that I'm fucking like suspended, I don't give a fuck. That's super annoying. There we go. All right, cool. Awesome. All right, so if I do this, yeah, I gotta like type the Rumble chat separately, which is kind of annoying, but yeah, that's tremendously annoying. All right, well, I'm glad that some people migrated over to Rumble to follow me. That's super fun, but oh well. Yeah, I think this is just okay. Now that it's just us YouTube nerds in here, because I guarantee you, like, there's no fucking plebs who are in here. Is this like, did I fuck up? Is this like a YouTube thing, or is YouTube being extra? What do you guys think? Yeah, let's see. Oh shit, no, YouTube brought me back. Thank you. Because I was gonna say, bro, like I didn't do anything. That's fun. I was gonna quit. All right, bet. Well, because I'm not, I don't know. I think this is pretty inarguably transformational. I don't know. This is not so where they fuck you up with fair use is if what you're doing is a substitute for the original, then they get mad at you because that's taking away views from them. So they don't like that. But I don't think this is fairly described as a substitute. I'm using this as like a vehicle to monologue for the most part. So it's just oh, I see. You vagabond smart. YouTube relies on AI, which is an issue. Okay, yeah. And then I think it's pretty fair to say that AI might flag this because it looks like I stole their content, but it's not. Let's see. Is there another way I can present this that's like more transformational? Boop. There we go. What about this? What about this? Nope, that's too small. What this? This. I felt like this is the standard format though, right? You know, this is the standard one. All right, let's keep going, I guess. God, that's just like a bunch of double. Arza, if you're watching this back, just cut all that shit out because that's all useless bullshit that we can't use for anything now. Fucking just a bunch of gristle and fat. Throw the whole thing out. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. While we're fucked up, I have to let this dog out of my room because he's whining at me. So hold on for a second. Okay, well, that's super annoying. Make yourself bigger? Okay. I've been trying my whole life, Vagabond. What about this? Is this better? Is this preferable? Is this like, what about on this side? Wait. Okay, hold on. Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Because then I can double click on myself and then I'm big. Okay, rad. All right. That'll be, we'll do that for right now. Is this preferable? Yeah, cool. Yeah. Actually, wait, can I do this? There we go. That's better. Okay. Oh, neat. Okay, hold on. Now I'm kind of learning. Okay, there we go. So we're going to do it this way. Now I'm going to be super big. I'm the captain now. What's up? Okay, we're going to do this to prevent myself from getting hit with copyright. Can I move this? Can I move this? I don't like where that is. I don't like the way it's like over my face. Let's see. Okay, we'll figure this out. We're just figuring it out now. This is just a figuring it out straight. Fuck it. There's 3 of you watching anyway. No one gives a shit. All right. We're learning. All right. Go ahead.
Have you have experience like me, someone who's essentially on those front lines working in?
I've worked with many high school teachers and the directors of psychology to talk to the youth. Yes,
so
I have.
Right now, I'm in a position where I have options, like you said. I do have some options, but they seem to be somewhat destructive and exploitative of me, of my peers. So I'm trying to
I think you're too
discriminate.
selective for jobs right now. You don't have the ability to be selective at this stage.
Well, but the thing is, I do because I'm
some...
instilled with a freedom that is maybe God universe given.
Okay, so what he's saying is don't be so picky. Like if you, I think what he's saying is like if you do what he's doing. So his argument, because he used to, his big story, I used to work at Haagen-Dazs, whatever, for $4.25 an hour or whatever the fuck, right? So he's like, yeah, so if you temporarily do something that has some suffering involved in it, then your life could get better later. And they're saying, I want my life to get better right now, and I don't want to have to engage in any suffering because suffering is bad. And he's like, yes, suffering is bad, but it builds character. That's the other thing too, is it's not just like monetary wealth and like life improvement, but actually the process of accepting your suffering with some humility and gratitude actually makes you a better person. And it's their refusal to engage with this process that keeps them locked in this perpetual state of adolescence. And this is why they're so obnoxious to deal with, is because they're refusing to engage with the process of grappling with reality and making themselves into a better person. They're refusing to, anyway, that's the point. That's why they're so childish and impulsive and difficult to deal with. And they're just like, my feelings said. Go ahead.
And I don't actually have to, because of the system, like you said, I don't have to play along with some corrupt game. So I gave up
I think California
a career.
is perfect for someone like you.
Well, thankfully,
Yeah,
California agrees.
That's a dig. That's a dig. That's funny.
But
All right,
you mentioned earlier in a previous discussion that we have free speech, we can say what we want.
Right.
But the thing is, have you been punched on the train for how you look and how you share your ideas?
Do I look like an American to you? Do you see this nose?
No, I'm just asking.
I'm Middle Eastern. You know what's happened to this guy? You know what's happened to me when I was discriminated all over the place?
So do you really feel like that's free speech if you're being
but I don't mind
punished
it.
by people who have prejudice against you?
I don't mind it.
All right, I'm not going to do this anymore. All right, so I'm not going to do this anymore. Because that, okay. So it looks like that is just going to rat fuck my YouTube stream. So I'm not going to do that. That's okay. These are things we learn about. Those are things we learn. That's okay. There's other ways. That's okay. All right. That's okay. There's only a couple more of these I wanted to do anyway. So here, let's do this one. Try this. There we go. Okay, now this is on a different website. So we're going to try
any country now.
If this restores my stream. There we go. Okay. So this is on a different website, but it's the same material. This is just, we'll just do one more of these. And then, because I got nuked a couple times. So that wasn't fun. So that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate because I was using it to analyze arguments and communication patterns, which is the whole point of like making these, right? So that's huge bummer. Arza, if you're, again, just like go ahead and, you know, clip all that out. Well,
Is that socialism would be a transitionary state between capitalism and communism, where the means of production are specifically owned by workers, not privately. The idea that any country now is anywhere near socialist, let alone communist, would simply be ridiculous and.
See, there we go. So this is, so anyway, she's setting up, that's kind of a long-winded setup for real communism has never been tried, which remember, real communism has never been tried is always code for communism would go better if I were in charge. That's the classic leftist, intellectually arrogant argument. Anyway.
It wouldn't reflect theory whatsoever.
What is the definition of communism to you?
Stateless, moneyless, classless society.
And you
Yeah, that's important. Remember that. Stateless, moneyless, classless society. Know what you're thinking. How would that work? It wouldn't.
Prefer that.
Yeah, so I think that we should be moving towards,
communism.
Yeah, stateless, moneyless, classless society.
So
yeah.
you don't think a person like me should exist with the amount of wealth that I have?
Yeah, because I think that we're getting to this point where we're creating fake scarcity for people like you to accumulate the wealth that you have.
Right, fake scarcity so that other people can accumulate wealth. And they think that this is outside forces that are causing that. They don't think that this is just a feature of existence. Right? They think outside forces are causing it. They think that this is caused by capitalism. Even though the idea predates capitalism, the fact that it happens way predates capitalism, their belief is that it's that it's created by external forces. Thanks, Salita, for staying on. I appreciate it. Thanks, Van. Well, dude in the dress wants to be free. He can go live in some woods somewhere. Problem is, he's in a society with other people. He needs to go out in society. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. This is the fundamental problem with leftists, and you're going to see this here. Even when they're talking about we need to give more things to more people, we need to redistribute, we need to be nice to everybody. Ultimately, what it comes down to is I want things to be good for me. That's ultimately what it always comes down to with these people. It's always about making things better for themselves. Go ahead.
On the basis of private ownership.
Okay, so you're not capitalist. You're definitely not capitalist. You're not socialist. You want to go full communism.
So what do you think that looks like, though, is a thing, right? So what Marx actually wanted was for us to reach a point where we no longer have the scarcity of resources that has kind of predicted, history as it looks like now. It wouldn't happen now. Right. It would happen as we automate. At this point in time, we can decommodify housing and food and education for around 5% of the government budget. That's 1/5, a little bit over 1/5 of what we spend on the military already. We don't, because we were living in the state where it almost seems utopian that things like food and shelter.
How old were you the first time you thought you wanted to be a communist?
There we go. That's the right question. Do you see how he's hit it on the head. These are not original creative thoughts that she's had. It's not original creative thoughts. These are, God damn it, they got me again. You bitches. You bitches. Okay, hold on. All right, so I'm just not gonna talk about that anymore, I guess. Okay, that's super irritating. Let's see if no, let's hold it. Am I on? No, I'm suspended again. God damn it. Okay. All right, so I'm just not gonna. That's not even on their fucking website. Is it like more than? What's the rule? Is it like more than 7 seconds? Like, okay. Just strike it, everybody. Yeah, it keeps going out for me, Selena. It keeps going out for me. So my guess is that Jubilee is just not going to let me talk about this, even if I'm pulling like clips from another website, even if I'm doing shorts. So I really want to do a breakdown of this. So we might do a breakdown of this and then like paywall it or something, because I actually would like to just do a breakdown of the whole thing, but that would take like 4 hours. So I would like to do that and then like paywall it and then like take clips out of it. But that might be something that I have to film later. I don't think it's going to let me do that as a live stream. So that's okay. I had other stuff I wanted to talk about anyway. So huge bummer, but that was the main thing I wanted to talk about. And that's the thing in the title. So, huge bummer, but not my favorite thing. But hey, you know what? It's YouTube's website, so they're the ones that get to decide what goes on it. So if they don't want to do that, then that's fine. They're allowed to make that choice. So okay, so this is something that somebody sent me. I'm just gonna pull this up and we're gonna have fun with this. This is apparently let's see. Apparently San Francisco is having they made some kind of trans district, so I'm excited to see what this is. Let's see what this has got. Go ahead.
I'm here in the transgender district, Brianna. We're talking about placemaking, the first only transgender district in the world. What's happening?
What is that?
On Golden Gate?
Yeah, so
So you might be wondering, okay, what is a transgender only district? You might be curious about that. I sure know I am. Second of all, aren't these? Remember the original push for gay stuff was always that we wanted to normalize it. We would just want them to be part of We just want to be part of regular society, guys. We just want to be treated like everyone else. Well, now apparently not. Apparently they just want their own space. Apparently they just want their own spot. They want their own segregated part of town to have. First it was their own part of the calendar. Now they just want their own thing. That's interesting. I wonder how this is going to play out, and I wonder why we're placating them. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. It's really good to see you. Thank you for visiting us here in the district. My name is Brianna McCree, Co-Executive Director of the Transgender District, here with Carolina and Carlo and Orhan, who is the owner of 64 Golden Gate Parking Garage, who has donated his garage space to the district for placemaking and murals. We will have murals of trans artists, trailblazers, and activists, and on the inside, we will house murals of our local sports.
That's weird. I wonder why they're doing that. And what's interesting is that these activists and artists could not find a place within the marketplace to market their shit. They had to do it with a gift from the government. That's important because there was no demand. Yeah. Vagabond's right. You probably have to make an actual vid instead of live stream for the Jubilee vids. I agree with you. That's really disappointing because the whole point of the Jubilee thing is to facilitate dialogue. I don't want to talk about this. Yeah, the whole point of the Jubilee thing, that's incredibly disappointing because the whole point of that was to facilitate dialogue. Yeah, it was a huge bummer. I was kind of hoping because the point of it, I guess I can still say what I wanted to say. Every single one of those people was just super resentful. And there's a couple of times where he's like, "Hey, you can make your life better," and they're like pathologically resistant to this idea that they could make their life better. There's one person where he was like, "Hey, do you want a job?" And dude was like, "What kind of job? What kind of job?" Just kept pushing back. And earlier in the conversation, this person said they applied to over 400 jobs and they couldn't find a job. And then by the end of the conversation, you realize, oh yeah, this person is like really combative. This person's really combative and is pathologically resistant to anything that would actually constitute work, which would improve their life. Because they don't want to improve their lives. They want their lives to get better without doing any work. Right. And anything you suggest to them, they've got 1,000 excuses for why they can't do it. And that's just like not the way effective people approach reality. Like people who do things, they see something and it's like, okay, that's an obstacle. Now, what can I do about it? Anytime you end up making an excuse, it's like, okay, well, that becomes true for you. Your excuse becomes true for you. So this is also why I'm skeptical of the medical model of psychiatry, just while my stream's getting banned. Anytime you give someone a diagnosis, you say, oh, you're bipolar, or you're ADHD or whatever, what you've done is you've given them an excuse for why they can't do what they want to do. Now, what it can be used for, I think a diagnosis can be helpful if it gives you a tool to understand why certain things are hard for you and what your challenges are going to be. And then you can focus on overcoming those challenges. But I think what psychiatry does now, and this is why there's so many leftists that make the claim of being mentally ill. That was another thing I wanted to react to in the video that I guess I'm not going to be able to now, is that you see that in the fucking Jubilee video. This is claims of mental illness where the person will say, oh, like I'm mentally ill and because of that, I can't do this, and that. So you should just give me free stuff. And it's like, yeah, I think that sucks. And I'm not saying that doesn't come with a lot of challenges, but challenges are overcomable if you believe they are. A lot of these limitations are self-imposed and people have told them that, you know, reality is unfair and it's particularly unfair to you. And if you shriek about it, then it might actually change. It's just not how things are. You just kind of got to accept it. These are the people who just cannot practice acceptance. It's weird. They talk about psychology all day long and they cannot practice acceptance. And that's the other thing too. You saw that showcased in the video. I really wanted to show this because they've got a lot of good examples of this, but leftists believe that absolutely everything is downstream of Freudian psychology. So everything has to do with trauma. It's not about, I think your reality is largely constructed in the ways that you think about the world. Right. There's another psychologist that embodies that model whose name I don't remember right now. But I mean, fuck it. Nobody's watching the stream. Let's see what we got. Oh, Adler. That was the guy. Yeah. I think your reality is largely constructed by how you think about the world. And that's where Patrick Bet-David comes from. And here's the thing. The reason that's effective is because it puts you in the driver's seat. So the fundamental distinction between the socialist and the capitalist, I think this was delineated really well by the debate, is where you focus your locus of control. It's like, is my life mostly determined by things that happen externally to me that impact me, or is my life mostly determined by my choices? Now, the truth about reality is that your life is significantly impacted by things external to you, and it's significantly impacted by your choices and the things that you do and the way you think about the things that happen to you. The Stoics figured this out, that like emotional pain doesn't come from the actual thing that happened. It comes about how you think about the thing that happened. Your thoughts about the thing affect how you feel about the thing. And you can change the stories that you tell yourself. And that can change your reality. It'll change how you interact with reality. If you train yourself to see setbacks, all you're going to see is setbacks. If you train yourself to see reasons why you can't do something, that's all you're going to see. If you train yourself to see opportunities, then opportunities will appear to you. Not because you get more opportunities, because that's where you're looking. You see largely what you're looking for. And I really wish we could break this down, but like leftists think that life is like mostly defined by trauma and the things that happen to you. And it is to a degree. That's definitely true. But it has a lot to do with how you think about the things that happen to you too. And that's where I think the disconnect is. It would have been really nice if I could just go through that, kind of like line by line and demonstrate it. That would have been fun. Man. But yeah, no, that's super irritating because this is why, by the way, if you're arguing with a leftist, they'll just like derail the conversation and be like, do you get along with your mom? Wow. And they'll say stuff like that, which is just like grossly inappropriate in a factual debate, but they'll try to like psychologize you. It's funny when they do it because they're almost always projecting. They think that when they talk to Patrick Bet-David, they're like, oh well, everything you're defining as success is about money. It's all about money to you. And I think it's pretty clear that's not all about money to him. And I think they're projecting. I think for them it is all about money. Like they made choices and they find themselves really unfulfilled with how their life is going, and they're constantly bombarded with images of people who have more. And you can tell kind of by the way these people are talking, they would not have these ideas if they did not have college degrees. So we have colleges that are just cranking out people who are they think that they are better than everybody. They're a member of an aristocracy because they have the college degree, but that doesn't actually translate to anything in terms of earning power or a place in the job markets. They end up being a barista, and then they prepare coffee for like people in the trades who make way more, and they were taught that they were, above these people, and now they have to perform a service for these people. So it's like, so that's, it's their underlying state of mind is resentment. It's because of like how they think about the world, as they think about the world as they are people that are acted upon. Absolutely every single one of them, when he offered, hey, could you do this, could you do that, could you do this, could you do that, leftists will take that as a personal attack. They don't think about that as their life choices having a significant impact. That's just not how they think about it. So they're actually offended by the idea that their life choices could affect their circumstances. There's this other thing. So they're like, oh, so you're saying I deserve poverty? which is this is what I'm saying. Arguing with leftists is like arguing with a crazy girlfriend because they just take what you say and just interpret it in the worst way possible. And it's like, oh, well, you're saying I deserve it. Because if you're saying if you could make different choices and your life gets better, then one of the conclusions that you could draw from that is if bad things happen to you, you deserve it. And leftists have a hard time with that. And it's harsh, but your life will go better if you think that you deserve the bad things that happen to you. If you just think, okay, well, this is my fault, and I'm going to focus on what I can do. If you just orient, even though it's like, I try telling this to a leftist, it's excruciating. They'll be like, well, I'm not going to gaslight myself. That's true. I tried to have this conversation. I'm like, no. I'm trying to tell you this is a helpful way to orient yourself towards problems. If you just focus on all the bad, yes, all the bad stuff that happens to you is still bad, but how you think about it is going to make a difference in terms of how you're going to be able to deal with it and how you're moving through the world. And they don't understand that like changing the way they think about stuff has a significant impact. There's no part of them that has adapted to that. They're not able to roll that into their worldview because part of that is because that would threaten their status as a victim. And again, it would have been great to have the actual video for this, but yeah, like a lot of them the only thing they have to make them feel special is their victim status. And if you take away their victim status and try to empower them, then they don't have that anymore. They don't have any way to be special. Then they'll never be special. Not good. Not good for them to never be special. So they'd rather be an extra special victim than a normal person who just has regular agency and in charge of their own life. They don't want to be like a regular person. They want to be exceptional in some way. That's why they're saying, if I can't be a millionaire, what's the point? Right? They're pathologically terrified of just like being a normal ass person. They want to be an elite or nothing. So what this is called an elite aspirant, by the way. This is a thing in society, which are people who are not currently elites who would like to be. And one of the things that we did when we flooded the market with people with college degrees, and we told them all that would make them part of the aristocracy, is we created way too many elite aspirants. And there aren't enough elite positions. So it's the problem with like the everybody needs to go to college thing. It's like, no, probably just like super like bookish, studious people should go to college and everybody else should do something else. Because in order for everyone to succeed at college, you have to make college retarded. And then there's no point in going. If you dumb it down and make it like public education, then there's no point in going. The point of college is that it's supposed to be really hard and like only some people are supposed to be able to do it. And that's okay because other people could do other things. The problem is we got rid of all the things other people could do, which is super trouble. And we're mostly getting rid of the things that people with college degrees could do. We're kind of getting rid of all the jobs, like AI and everything. So I don't know. Downstream of that, I don't know what there's going to be. And well, one of the things that's happening when you make all the institutions retarded with like DEI and everything, and you hire a bunch of unqualified people and you make everything suck, is that all the like qualified people who aren't getting jobs like go out and try to create their own pathway, and it actually creates a lot of really interesting entrepreneurship opportunities because I don't know if you met like a creative, like intelligent, interesting person. I don't know what a person like that is going to do in a corporate hierarchy, or like, why would you do that? People like that are going to feel suffocated. And so that's cool. All of the interesting people I know right now are trying to do their own thing in some way. And to some way, because the economy is at a despair point, a lot of people are like forced to do that. Most people are forced to get 2 or 3 streams of income right now because things just suck, and the dollar doesn't go as far. And so I think a lot of people are I understand being drawn towards like left-wing economic policy if you think that that's a solution for the suffering that you're experiencing in the present. But we've talked about this all the time on the show, but the government makes a bunch of false promises basically. And they're like, oh, well, we can help you. I can alleviate your suffering if you just give up all your rights. Right. If you give up your economic freedom and your agency and your right to self-determine, we'll just take stuff from people who have more than you and give it to you. And it's like, Milton Friedman used to say that the problem with socialism is you eventually run out of other people's money. And that's the thing is it's never the socialists are never like the communists. They're never like, what am I going to give up? It's always, what am I going to get? Yeah, that's always how they think about it. They always think of themselves as being on the receiving team. They do not think of themselves as being on the giving team. And this is true even of guys like Hassan Piker, who are bajillionaires. He's got like a bajillion zillion dollars and he lives in a big fucking mansion. He comes from a rich family. And a little bit of that is like class guilt, right? And a little bit of that is fuck the people who have more than me. Even people like Hassan Piker still think of themselves as people who are going to be receiving under the socialist regime, not giving. Pause. Yeah. And well, yeah. And also, I think a lot of these people think that what they don't understand, this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying you have to be historically illiterate to be a communist. They don't understand that the people who participate in the revolution very rarely end up in the leadership. They get executed because they have revolutionary temperaments. So if you start the revolution, you're right up against the wall with the rest of them, right? All the academics go to jail and get executed. All the revolutionaries go to jail and get executed. And they're always so confused. They're like, but I served the party. I did what I was supposed to do. And that's just like not how it's going to play out, bro. It's just not how it's going to play out. I think leftists think that being in a communist utopia means they're just going to be in nature, making art, minding their business, not wearing shoes, standing in the sunshine, whatever. And I think that a big thing is they've forgotten that nature is also in itself dangerous, completely separate and apart from all the problems of living in a society, like dealing with poverty and struggling with paying rent and bills and car insurance and just like those daily slow drip struggles that make us all crazy. We traded that. That was what we got when we got rid of the problems of nature. In nature, the problem was like fucking lions would try to eat you and shit, or other human tribes would come over the hill and murder you, take your women. That we traded that for the, like, oh no, I'm going to be late to work. So that was the exchange that we decided was favorable. I don't know if we knew. I don't know how I feel about it now, but the leftists have just completely forgotten. You can't just like exist in nature. Like nature will fuck with you. Nature is not neutral. Like throughout history, humans have had to do battle with nature. Really, they have. So yeah, it's not been a lot of fun, but this is you have to have people ignorant on purpose. It's almost like they made people ignorant on purpose. I do kind of suspect that. We have the other thing too is like our schools are like brainwashing and priming children to be leftists their entire lives. They're giving them like leftist history earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier to the point that it's a backlash. To the point that like the leftism is now the institutional mainstream in schools, and this is downstream of the colleges of education being super left and universities being super left, and you have to go to the university to teach in the school, and a lot of teachers go into the schools on purpose to be activists, and even the ones that aren't activists, a lot of them are left of center anyway, because you can't go through all of that programming and not come out of it like a little kooky. Like some of it's going to stick. That's just how it is. So it sucks. If colleges were doing what they were supposed to be doing, which is educating people, then I would be all for it. But it really kind of seems like these are mills for indoctrination, and that teachers who teach the next generation are some of the most indoctrinated people. Now, what's encouraging about that, and this was mentioned in the chat earlier, is that Gen Alpha seems to be cutting way the other way. Like they seem to be going way more conservative to the point of being like frustrated with Trump because he's not right wing enough. And that's a hard thing for leftists to understand. Like a lot of leftists view Trump as kind of like a right-wing extremist. And if you talk to actual right-wing extremists, they do not like him at all. No, they do not. No, they do not. Yeah, and I think another thing that, we run into a lot, we've talked about this. We talked about Dean Withers on the show. A lot of these left-wing influencers are plants that are being funded artificially to try to like shift the zeitgeist and shift young people in the favor of left-wing ideas to advance left-wing political goals. And it's hard to tell the difference at a glance, but a lot of these people are being cranked out. Like I said, I don't know if these are like original creative, ideas that are being funneled out. I think these are, people who are repeating talking points. And it ultimately goes back to real communism has never been tried. So trust me, bro. And the only way you could think that is if you just like didn't know anything, right? If you were the product of an education system that just fundamentally did not inform you about reality. That's the only way you could walk away from it with that conclusion. So I don't know, man. I don't know. That's where it's at, man. Yeah, Jubilee is particularly litigious, which is wild because you would think that the point of having a debate like that was so that people could watch it and break it down and share it and talk about it. And if people are talking about what your content, you're in the zeitgeist. So that's really good for you. This is, brand awareness. And I watched the whole fucking thing for this stream, which I'm super irritated. I'm never going to do that shit again. And I watched the whole thing and I picked out the parts that I thought were going to be good to talk about. And I was really excited to talk about it. And it looks like that's not going to happen. So it's fine, whatever. I saw other people talking about it on their live streams. So I thought I was like good to go. I guess not. That's super irritating. That's okay though. I don't mind it as much. That's okay. As you live and you learn. We'll see how this does in views. This might have to be something that I bring up later. I'm not doing any more of these Jubilee clips though. That was a one-time thing. Done with it. Not doing it again. Which sucks because that was my favorite one. Like I said, the main takeaway I think with that is you see how he stayed calm and stayed on topic, and didn't let him get frazzled, but he also wasn't mean to them. And by the way, because he wasn't unkind to them to the extent that they were unkind, it really stood out. To the extent that they weren't participating because he practiced good conversational etiquette, let them finish, talk to them. It shames them because when they try to talk over you, it becomes really obvious that you weren't trying to talk over them. And by the way, the other thing too is especially if you're doing these conversations like on streams or stuff, because these are the conversations you guys have seen me have been on streams, like, that it's especially important because your audience is not the person in front of you. Your audience is the people who are watching. So I think he knew that. There was another part where he said that, which would have been, like I said, really cool to actually showcase. But go back and watch the shit. I mean, it's good. It's worth watching. Just kind of annoyed at Jubilee. But I understand where they're coming from. It's like they got to protect their property. But like, I'm trying to make your shit more popular by talking about it. And I'm just talking about the good parts. I don't want to go over the whole fucking thing. Just the good parts. Anyways, that was fun. That kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit, I'll be honest with you. But, we're doing the best we can. We got some stuff here. I might be able to get some useful clips out of this. We'll see. I didn't really get to talk about the ones I wanted to talk about because I kept getting fucking struck. But, yeah, be that as it may. All right, guys. Well, this has been rad. I'm pretty close. That's most of the stuff I wanted to talk about. Let's see if there's anything else I can talk about here. This is that most of the stuff that I saved to talk about was from this. So if they're going to be dicks about it, then yeah, that's probably going to be a good stuff. That's okay. I'm going to do another episode of this on Thursday. So I'm going to do that. That'll be fun. We're going to be wrapping up. This is Theocracy with Theo Snodgrass. I have been your host, Theo Snodgrass. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Please enjoy. I'm about to sign off here, but please enjoy. We're not doing a hard out. Please enjoy the intro for my other show, my panel show, Touch Grass with Theo Snodgrass. That's going to be your outro video. And that is going to be just a little advertisement. Get you psyched up for the panel show on Saturday. It's Saturday morning, and that's going to be 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'll be right back here at Theocracy, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Look forward to that. If you want to see me do live comedy, September 9th, I'm going to be at Laughs Las Vegas. That's going to be a lot of fun. Go ahead and check that out. And be ready. I'm going to be dropping a bunch of new videos, so make sure to go ahead and follow me on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't done it already. Go ahead and follow me on YouTube. That's going to be really important. Subscribe to me there. Subscribe to me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter or X, I guess. Instagram, Rumble, whatever. do all the things. All right, take it easy.
Look at that crack. Damn, this crack look good. This Johnson crack look good. Well, look at my crack. No. Look at that crack.
Are we looking at Arz's cat now?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't hear a damn thing you said.
All right.
And because I was a gazillionaire and I like building so much, I cut that price for free.
Species is dying, the birth rate is plummeting, women are chopped. But yeah, you know what? Get a fucking cat.
I know even more about grants.